damn good show for us.
I also love the little bit of smack talk that's been going back and forth. And both sides have offensively GGing before the gazebo was even going through. And then on top of that, Gang Sinatra are going into Game 3 here. He's like, the only reason you won basically is because we wanted the Game 3 for the fans. So they're just keeping it up, man. I mean,
gotta do it for the fans.
Gotta do it for the fans. All right, so we're moving along here with this game. Let's take a look at what we got so far. Rally Monkey King coming out here for the Legion side. Keeper Tempest from the Hellborne side. So we see once again Monkey King being addressed here. I believe he got addressed later on in the last game, but this time in the first stage here.
He didn't get addressed at all in the last game.
Was not even addressed at all, yeah.
So very, very interesting
change of pace.
Ban right here. I mean, I think in the first game he was actually one of the first 4 bans. And then the second game not addressed, so...
Well, you know what's standing out to me so far? Ophelia's still on the board, and especially with this Legion team here, they already got the Master of Arms. What's a combination that we talk about all the time? That Master Ophelia. So, if you're a Legion team now, with this being the round of 5-12, you got to wonder, Ophelia's, I'm not going to say she's honestly one of the most difficult heroes to play.
Very
I think
technical.
It's safe to say. So, the idea that you might not have an Ophelia player could be there, but you would hope not, really, but...
Yeah, if you're hoping to at least make it deep into these qualifiers, you have to be able to maximize your potential to use a lot of these heroes, and some of the more difficult ones out there, the Monkey King, the Ophelia, definitely some of the strongest as well, but already see the Bearded Brothers up there, the Master of Arms and Engineer on either side. Once again, Pew Fan Club going with Wretched Hag in their first 2 picks. Extremely comfortable with this hero. We saw him do a lot of work in game number 1. In game 2, putting him in the short lane, wasn't able to contend with the tri-lane. This might give the Legion team a clue. Once again, an offensive tri-lane might be something they want to go for. Yeah,
and so maybe that's also a deterrent from Ophelia, as, you see the bubbles pick up, so... Passing over Ophelia here, we'll see. If you're the Hellborne side, I mean, Ophelia could definitely still make sense for you, but kind of the same thing. Are they comfortable? Do they have a player that can play the hero? I would think if you do, I mean, it's hard to pass up Ophelia here, man. But the idea that they've run tri-lanes themselves both games that you're just referring to, so maybe they want to keep that trend themselves and not go jungle once again. So we'll see. We'll see what the ultimate end up going with here. They are going to go Deadwood, so there you go. Ophelia is going to be passed up. Now, will she make it through this next banning phase? Also a good question.
Yeah. I'm interested to see. I'm already thinking about what the next potential pick here might be for the Legion team. In terms of getting a secondary solo, we saw Keeper of the Forest do so well in that last game as a hero that really just can survive in almost any situation. Other heroes that are similar to that, of course, being Bubbles and Rally, heroes that have very, very strong escape mechanisms and just some innate survivability. What else is on the board to really fit that role? I'm not really sure at this point. Something that's kind of sticking out to me would be a Magnus, maybe even something like a Revenant, but we'll have to see.
These bands, so again, all 3 games have had a Zephyr, a Gemini, and a Nomad band. I mean, both these teams kind of going back and forth with that as far as, I guess I would have, my only explanation is a little bit of research on one of the teams and the other, and they see that they've been playing those specific heroes a lot recently, because those usually aren't heroes that you would see.
Interesting.
Priority being banned, but Plague Rider in the first pick, that actually is really interesting because that marks how
probably going to put that hero into a suicide position and then just use his laning ability, the Extinguish, to actually get some good lane control. And then probably put the Bubbles mid and then maybe short lane, tri-lane, or could put him even short to try to get good lane position down there. But I definitely think the Legion team, they're shaping up for another tri-lane, probably going to be one of an aggressive nature here. I think Berserker might actually fit decently back in here.
If that's the case, then make sure that Plague Rider isn't a part of that tri-lane, because Plague Rider is not a hero you want in a tri-lane, especially of an aggressive nature. So, if they do go more of a solo Plague Bubbles and then try them with Torture Master, and then, as you're saying, even something like a Berserker again or something else, I guess that definitely could make sense. But again, Ophelia is still on the board, but neither team looking to address her. The Legion team at this point, they're not going Ophelia, so really it's up to Pew Fan Club here if they want to pick her up.
I mean, they could go Ophelia.
On the Legion side?
Yeah.
You are right. I guess I shouldn't say it. They're absolutely not by any means, but they definitely could, yes. Still,
if the last picks do line up, I mean, that's a possibility.
I just feel like, the fact that she's going to the 5th, if you haven't picked her up now, you're probably not going.
Maybe just not valuing her super high and then saying, hey, she's very much so available at the end a possibility.
Yeah.
Hellborne team, though, expending all of their reserve time, taking a careful look at this 4th pick, whether or not they want to pick up a jungler or a second support hero. They will go with the Valkyrie, and this is something you and I actually talked about last night, in fact, about the possibilities of seeing a Suicide Valkyrie. She's definitely been pretty low tier on most people's radar, and I agree. I mean, she's just not the strongest hero at this point. Her laning presence not very strong. If you're going to run her in that Suicide lane, she has a really hard time finding that farm. Even if she's put into a prime position to be a farming hero, her mana costs make it kind of prohibitive to use spells to really flash farm, and if you are doing that, you're going to have to build in a very low damage way by getting something like that Nullstone pretty early on. I mean, it's a difficult hero to run, and I'm interested to see how the Hellborne functions with it.
Yeah, there are just better options, I think is the best way to put it when it comes
to
that. Okay, you know,
yes!
I was thinking Salforis. I didn't say it, but I was definitely, it was a thought of mine, so I'm not going to take credit by any means, but I'm glad to see is where I'm going with. That Salforis has picked up here, and he got a lot of changes this last patch.
He did.
And one that I even told Doc I take credit for, the adding Mortal Strike to his Q, which was his Mors Certissima. They added basically what Mortal Strike being minus 50% reduced healing, so whenever that ability is used on them, not including the regen, more so the straight up heals. So Fade is the final pick over here for the Hellborne side. Now, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to sit here and think. So if we are going to now see that aggressive tri-lane, or just a tri-lane in general, really, from our Legion side, it could definitely work. I mean, Lord Salforis could definitely match up. He can assist quite a bit with his nuke, I guess, in the life tap. Not your ideal, probably, but
yeah, I actually don't want to see the Lord Salforis in a tri-lane. I think I'd actually like to see a long lane Plague Rider with Lord Salforis, and then a Master of Arms Torture combination in the short lane. That's my ideal laning setup here. Lord Salforis in a tri-lane, simply, he needs the levels. He scales, all of his abilities scale so dang well, especially with that Mortal Strike on the Mors Certissima these days. I mean, all of his abilities are so dang good. You really need some levels on him. Even putting him into a solo position is something that's definitely viable. I mean, Emperor, you guys know him. He loved this hero. His Suicide Salforis is legendary in high-tier TMMs and in-houses. We could even see something like that. At this point, though, it's being played by No Life, who has been playing the hard carries.
Yeah.
I think he might actually be going into the short lane here.
Well, that, and also I was looking at the change log real quickly to confer. So obviously, as we talked about the Mortal Strike, his Dark Lord's presence no longer gives health regeneration based on enemies around you. Instead, it now steals 50% regen from the enemies around you with a max of 127 HP per second. So actually kind of an interesting concept there too. When you look at that. And then his Undying did receive changes. It actually is more powerful now, but it did take away the effect of no longer grants you a soul when the target dies, unless you have a Staff of the Master. So if you have the Staff of the Master, then you get that Enslave ability where it makes it more powerful, and then on top of that, you can use it for the heal. But without the Staff, you won't get that anymore. But they just buffed the basic of it. You see the duration increased, to decrease the cast time even, and change it from magic to superior magic. So anyways, just kind of breaking down real quickly those several changes that Lord Salforis did receive, and the idea that maybe what a joke over here is like, he got some good changes. We want to try him out here in the competitive scene, see what happens.
Absolutely, and Staff of the Masters definitely seems like it could be a very, very powerful tool with that very big damage increase, as well as the huge health stone, allowing you up to 50% of the target's health when you do chug that health stone. And that's pretty dang strong. But right now, we do see Torture and Lord Salforis, along with the Master of Arms here in the bottom lane. So it looks like they will be going a defensive tri-lane, trying to get some really early farm. And they're going up against the aggro tri of Fade, NG, Valk. This is kind of the lane that I was expecting from the Hellborne.
Yeah, that's very true, actually. And Valk were going to be the priority farm here, of course. So yeah, we were so caught up with the Lord Salforis that I kind of forgot to ultimately look at how our Hellborne team finished. They got the Fate last pick, by the way, too. Obviously, that's a very strong last pick the fact that you managed to get her. But yeah, it's interesting. You know, you're talking about the possibility of a dual lane setup over here on the Legion side. I definitely, actually, I thought that might have been what they were doing. I was going to agree with you in the end, but what you are sacrificing Plague Rider's suicide potential with that if you do. So, because you make him more of that secondary support instead, and you know he's just not as strong in that role. So I think that's kind of the biggest deterrent of, you know what, we'll play our more of a protective trial lane at the short lane here. And in this case, I actually think, you know, I was thinking more of an aggressive nature of getting kills. Maybe not as much, but in the case of staying alive, I mean...
I think the preferred lanes that I would have had would have been the Salforis with Plague in the long lane, Torture and Master of Arms mid, and then Bubbles up against the aggro tri-lane in the bottom lane. Bubbles being one of those heroes that can survive against the tri-lane, somebody that's going to get levels even if the lane position's bad. You're going to dominate the top lane against a solo Deadwood, and then you're going to dominate the middle lane as double ranged against the Wretched Hag. That's my personal preference on these lanes for the Legion team. In the end, it's going to be try on try, which is something that everybody loves to watch.
Yeah.
Extremely high action, and with 5 stuns in this lane, it's going to be pretty high octane.
I'm also very interested to see how Lord Salforis builds, because usually, you know, in the laning phase, I think it's, you know, they tend to go the Dark Lord's presence here with the life tab. But because you are in a try versus try, the possibility of action is definitely up. So the Q, as I'm just going to call it, the nuke for Lord Salforis here, I could definitely see being leveled up at the same time. So I'm curious to see what No Life does here when it comes to his build. But yeah, definitely expecting some good action nonetheless here. So enough analyzing, and let's just sit back and watch the fun action that should eventually come of it. But I'm excited to see Valkyrie, man. You know, the Javelin, one of the most iconic abilities in the game, really, I think.
Absolutely,
and, looking forward to some big arrows here. Not to put him on the spot, but
with Fade, once she gets some decent levels, of course, that Burning Shadows being one of the longest duration stuns in the game at 2.5 seconds maxed out, that's going to give a lot of travel time for Valkyrie. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how Valk skills. If she's going to be going towards something like that Call of the Valkyrie max out to get that nuke damage and the farming potential, or if she'll instead be going for the damage on the Javelin, instead looking for the longer stun duration as well. So, that actually might be the preferential build here. But once again, I mean, Valkyrie's just a hero that we simply do not see in today's competitive scene, just because of how hard of a time she does have bringing home the farm.
At the same time, though, I mean, if she does get some good farm, I mean, she can actually be a very, very dangerous carry potential hero, honestly. You know, with the mobility that she just has with that leap, it's some extra added burst damage, the farming steroid, as it's called, you know, with the Call of the Valkyrie, with her Q, so, and being able to set up some kills herself even with some big arrows, so we've definitely seen that throughout HoN's history. So again, we'll see how that progresses as this game moves on. The lane is continuing to be pushed up somewhat in the favor of Valkyrie, but despite that, Lord Salforis, it seems like he's having a pretty good time, and a lot of that is because, I mean, this trial in here by the Hellborne side, you got your Fate Engineer and Valkyrie. You know, they're not able to really get the opportunities, especially even if it is a Salforis. You got to expect a response out of Torture and Master. So I guess it's understandable that we're not really seeing too many attempts here in the end, as far as going for kills. And actually, Engineer finding himself from in mid here.
Yeah, going to be doing a little bit of rotation, leaving just the Fade and Valkyrie to hold down the fort bottom lane. Bubbles, without a really firm setup, and this is kind of an odd rotation from Engineer. With that Shell Surf as well as the take cover, Bubbles is really going to have a lot of opportunities to avoid not only the Deadwood Grass, but also those kegs. So that's going to be a very, very difficult gank to set up. Instead, Valkyrie taking some pressure in the bottom lane. Fade's got the Burning Shadows to hold it down, though. Gets the 1.8 second arrow into Lord Salforis, but he's just so dang tanky. He'll probably hit the life tap. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. Level 1 life tap, just regenning a little bit.
I mean, it's ridiculous. It only costs 60 mana, and it gets him a fair amount of life, especially once he starts leveling that up. As you mentioned, it's level 1 right now, and also to answer the question that I had earlier, he is leveling up the Aura, so not touching the nuke of his.
Yeah,
instead,
the Dark Lord's presence is just simply too strong. I mean, 40 damage per second onto a single target if you do catch somebody out on their own, and true damage, that is. So it's just so dang strong if you manage to segment somebody out. And if you do go the route that a lot of players, including Emperor, do like with those nice early Ghost Marchers, you can just run somebody down.
Yeah. So it seems like those Ghost Marches, speaking of that, are most certainly on the way. Has the one punch dagger, needs the other. And again, it seems like it's a good start at that bottom lane. But the other lanes, you already referred to in the middle a little bit. That top lane, you got Wretched Hag and Plague Rider. Not the most action expected up here, but Plague Rider 9 and 12. Plenty of denies as expected for him. 12 and 7 for Wretched Hag. So it seems like it's actually a pretty good back and forth up here at the top side, and Plague Rider accomplishing really what he came up here to accomplish. You know, maybe not to get the best farm himself, but if anything, kind of slow down this Wretched Hag, lock her down to an extent, and he's definitely accomplished that. So well played up there so far. And it seems like overall, the big picture, What a Joke has some good things going for them. The one glaring star here on the Hellborne side is that Deadwood, though. The 275 gold per minute, and as usual in this case, you know, getting their earlier items and eventually that early on portal key.
Yeah, and it's something that Bubbles needs to be aware of. He is level 6 now, so that Deadwood, if he does get a Rotten Grasp and Bubbles is not quick enough on the Silence and the Shell Surf away, could be finding him at the wrong end of a Willowmaker, and that would be a very, very bad time for Manhua. But we'll keep an eye on that. The bottom lane, Lord Salforis definitely holding it down to 275 GPM, so getting his farm on, finishes up the Ghost Marchers, and I like this decision. If you look, he's actually disabled the Dark Lord's presence right now, knowing that he's not going for a kill. Doesn't want to push the lane, and this was actually one of the things I was afraid of, is that they would push the lane with the Dark Lord's presence activated. Very nice job here by No Life, knowing the power of lane control.
Here goes Deadwood, level 6. Oh, the Invis rune. Yeah, this is a big opportunity right here. He's playing it very safe,
wards.
too.
Yeah, they had no clue that this is coming.
Yeah, he could have gone to the river, honestly, but, you know, he played it safe going to the Ancients, wanted to make sure that they didn't have any wards, and we're not able to see him. So here he goes for a setup. There is no Rev. In fact, this ward is like just despawning over here, so he's Invis, but that could also play a big factor here. And you look at him setting up. There's the Falcon Punch. Arrow on top. It's going to be a 2-second stun. Lord Salforis dropping, and he will fall. Bloodlust kill set up for the Hellborne team. It goes to show you how important rune control is. And Deadwood manages to. Did he get credit? Yes, he did. As he also picks up steam boots from the shop.
I guarantee you that Bubbles actually called that MIA.
Yeah.
You could see how far back they were, but the power of that Invis rune right there, like you said, the rune control really coming into play, and Deadwood maximizing the efficiency, not going to waste that on level 3 support. He goes straight for the big guns, knowing that this is when Lord Salforis is vulnerable, and just make sure to shut him down a bit. Brings home the Bloodlust for his team. That's a great start.
Yeah, beautiful start for Pew Fan Club here, and see if they can make work of it as the game progresses. Obviously for Deadwood specifically, again, allowing him to finish the steam boots there. And now could very possibly be that portal key next in line for him. So Salforis back to the bottom lane. You know he's going to try to, or continue to recover after that death. So it definitely slowed him down. But Valkyrie also buying her some time to move on up quite a bit. And actually going to get the lane pushed up here. So we'll have to get position back. But again, I'm kind of looking at how the supports, how it's going for them too in this case. You know, both teams decided to go the try versus try lane. Yeah, Torture nearly escaping death right there. That was very, very nearly escaping kill, I should say.
Well, he is going to get hit by a Burning Shadows. There's the arrow. Rotten Grasp is going to be dropped as well, and Torture will be taken out by the 4 members of the Hellborne team. There's a Ward of Sight over here from Dusty, just right above where that action took place, and unfortunately, they're not going to go counter-ward it, even though they have vision at this point. Just didn't quite see it, but Deadwood's going in.
Look at this. He just charges in through the tree. Doesn't even care. Kelpill's going to be used, actually. So, of course, they know Bubbles is here. Now, Master Bars and Fork of Lightning going to be coming out of the charge shot on the Fade as well. And Fade will end up falling an engineer trying to run this whole time. Deadwood sitting in the background. It's going to end up being only the 1 kill so far. So good movement from Bubbles coming out at least, and deterring the Hellborne team from going any further. As I say that, though, Deadwood's running back in the rotten grass. He has a Falcon Punch. Gonna use it right there. Will it be enough for the kill? No, it will not. The life steal comes out for Lord Salforis. He's gonna survive for now. The other log throw does get the kill, but it does cost him his life in the end. I don't know about that.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure either. Deadwood with that level 8. When you're distributing that much experience upon death, you got to be more careful. Valkyrie going to have to use that Courageous Leap to get away, and Torture with a nice sidestep on the keg. He's not going to even get a scuff mark on him. Now, Breaky, we haven't really talked about this top lane up here, but Plague Rider is actually doing really well.
Yeah, he is dominant now. Again, obviously the lane control has so much to do with that. Again, I can't say you see the Contagion nuke right there. He just goes up, Contagion nukes. He uses the Extinguish not only for the deny effect, but obviously the mana he gets from it, being level 2 here. And he's going to start leveling up that Cursed Shield now as well. So yeah, not really that surprising, honestly, but that's more good news for the Legion team, the fact that not jungling here on Plague Rider is having a great time again. Not necessarily himself, but it's just the fact that he's locking down Wretched Hag. And he has an Astrolabe, actually, so yeah, he's doing just fine for his team.
Just the amount of CS that he had right there. When I looked, it was 33 and 33, up to 35 and 38 now. An absurd amount of CS. And this is definitely a lane matchup that is highly, highly in Plague Rider's favor. Yeah. The one thing that kind of brought down the downfall of Plague Rider was when people started stacking regen. And unfortunately, Wretched Hag did not go into this lane with any stacked regen, and as soon as you start to lose a little bit of control in this lane, you're going to lose it all. Yeah. And that's exactly what happened here as not jungling. He's done really, really well for his team in all 3 of these games.
Yeah, he's definitely been a name we've been calling out a bit, it seems like, so definitely deserving of a shout-out there. Something else we see, so you talked about the regen, but something else we see about punishing a Plague Rider in this case is, if he's going to be denying so much as he is, put damage into the tower and try to maybe pressure that. And that's where I actually look at the skill build of Wretched Hag. I mean, I understand that the idea with Haunt that you want to keep harassment up yourself, but especially if you're going to be out-regen by Plague Rider in the first place, and he's going to constantly have that lane positioning, then, I mean, it's again, I'm not saying it's a bad choice for him to go the Haunt build here, but necessarily. But, maybe with the Sonar Scream idea, you could have pushed up the creep waves and maybe put a little more pressure into the tower. So it is kind of a hindsight thing. But
or even started to rotate at level 7 and try to set up a kill for your tri-lane, something like that. But with only 1 point in the Sonar Scream, she actually maxes out Haunt here.
Yeah.
This is not something that we see too often. Yeah. Normally stopping at 2. Right now, though, the Hellborne team are going to set up a kill on this tower in the middle lane. Attempted denied by Bubbles, but that one's not going to pan out. Deadwood getting level 9 during that push. I mean, he's definitely getting the levels, and 331 gold per minute. Brunoland is in pretty good shape.
Yeah, he did make a somewhat of a questionable decision at the bottom lane. Of course, granted, he did get the kill just before he died, so at least he got something out of it, but he definitely could have gotten out of there without a death as a whole. So, in terms of, and I'm sure why not have got the kill. But anyways, my point being, they're relying a lot on him right now to have a successful game. So despite the little bit of a hiccup, he's still managing to have it now. 320 gold per minute game. Very, very good news. And he is on cue to hit not only that portal key here shortly, but even that level 11 mark. And getting the level 2 Willowmaker, pretty big deal. And actually something we haven't referred to yet, seeing the Deadwood in this game just hitting me. He did receive a little bit of a nerf in this patch too with his Willowmaker. The fact that the cooldown was increased at the earlier levels. I believe it's 120 seconds or 100 seconds now at level 1.
Yeah, 185.70.
Yeah, compared to it's 50 seconds longer. It used to be 85 at level 1 before. So yeah, 15 seconds longer is actually a good amount of time in the earlier game. So something else to keep in mind.
For a hero that does want to remain that active, it's pretty big. Right now, the Legion team, they're going to go for push in the bottom lane. Glyph is going to be activated, and Valkyrie gets the deny. Nice job there by Dayu. He went for it right before the glyph and right after. Maybe even reacting to seeing he wasn't going to get the deny by hitting the glyph. And great job. The Legion team going to fall back with their plans thwarted.
Yeah, deciding, obviously, no reason to really push the issue there, knowing that, okay, they got the deny, whatever, the tower is still dead in the end. So at least he kind of got something out of it, but still, again, well played by Valkyrie right there with positioning. Deadwood. Very, very close once again. He's going to finish up this last creep wave here. And not going to have it just yet, but going to be close. Wretched Hag also, she's just fine with Plague Rider being gone, despite him pushing in that bottom lane. She's continuing to have a good time here at this top lane now, or at least recovering. You see her still playing a little bit passive. I mean, she wants to be very careful. Obviously, they can't see the Legion team right now, so knows that there's a chance at a gank attempt, but playing careful enough to the point where the did jumper, she would be fine. But
I'd actually like to have her move down into the bottom lane and get a lane ward for Valkyrie up top. But Valk is actually doing remarkably well for being in that tri-lane. Both she and Lord Salforis, of course, didn't get the strongest of starts, which oftentimes happens when you are in a tri-lane versus tri-lane situation with neither team really taking off. But Valk up to 260 gold per minute. She'll get the last hit on these Dragon Masters and bring her up to about 290 or so. Finishing up Steam Boots as well as the Energizer. She's got the stats, And I'm really looking forward to seeing what her next item is going to be. That's going to be really what tells.
Another big thing that's standing out to me here, out of all the supports in this game, too, for either side, you got Master of Arms, the first one to hit level 6. So he does have that Master's Call here, and yeah, it's of course a big one. You know, out of Torture, not as big of a deal. So even better news for the Legion team that they have the heroes that they have, and it's working out the way it is. So the fact that Engineer and Fade are both 5 and 4 respectively, you got to be a little concerned too, not having those ultimates just yet.
Yeah. And, well, they're not going to have those ultimates to defend the middle tower. Instead, Deadwood's been thrown out the Rotten Grasps. Time to delay this, but there's nobody here from the Hellborne team to deny this. So, free tower in favor of the Legion.
Yeah.
Lord Salforis and the gang just going to go ahead and roam on off to their next location, perhaps making their way up the river into that top lane as we do go into a bit of a pause here.
Yep, coming out from the Legion side, so they need to use the restroom.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. I mean, this is a long series.
Yeah.
Getting the full 3 games, and of course with HoN Tour Season 2, I mean, the times of a 3.5-hour scheduled series are over. We're to a 3-hour scheduled series. So, I mean, you guys might recall from Season 1 when either on HoNcast or Colecast, the first series ending and then having an hour and a half break, or well, shaving off a half an hour at least on those breaks. And with this one, I mean, I think we'll actually be going into the next series pretty quickly.
And on top of that, something else we're really looking forward to, adjusting, as well as still just many, many more things. Of course, we're always looking for feedback and everything, but as this season now picks up and starts to move on, especially once we start getting into the cycle coverage with the Diamond Division, the idea of casting one series and then, being done is ultimately, we're going to do our best to provide as much content as possible, basically. So the idea that if we choose a series that happens to be a quick 2-0 series, we won't just wait for the next set of series, maybe jump into another game or whatnot. Obviously, we have the power to do that. So we're definitely going to do our part to really make sure that we have content for you guys coming constantly on these weekends here for the HoN Tour event, especially once the cycles kick up. So definitely look forward to that. But yeah, also, as you brought up, I mean, the fact that it starts a half an hour earlier now for the second round of matches, I think is also pretty big. And there's a couple reasons for that. One is just, in general, it seems like it was just a little bit too long.
Yeah.
As what the feedback that we got from Season 1. But on top of that, since the Runic Shift patch, it really seems like games have honestly picked up in pace. And the length of games have shortened, especially in the competitive scene. So
yeah, I want to say I saw a statistic on that at some point that it had taken about like a 4% on average decreased game length in competitive matches. So, I mean, individually 4% on a 35-minute game, not huge, but it definitely does show a little bit of a trend there.
Of course, yeah. You're thinking of a mass amount of matches, so definitely does. And you see the Legion team here, what a joke. They're continuing to really take advantage of what they have right now, and that's the group up presence that they bring to the table. They have a Plague Rider who's level 10. They have a Bubbles here. Lord Salforis, he's able to do quite a bit already, even in this earlier on stage. So
and there's Valkyrie TPing up. They're going to engage. The Willowmaker going to be going off right here. Bat Blast going to hit all 3. The arrow going to connect onto Plague Rider as well. Deadwood going to drop as well as Plague Rider. Lord Salforis in a lot of pressure. He's going to hit that life tap and try to walk away, but will be taken out by the Haunt. Wretched Hag trying to get out of there. And the Hellborne team, they're still chasing.
Two big things. Well, it's actually not over just yet. They are still chasing. There's a Plague Goose and a buyback from Plague Rider. Gets one kill. Engineer. Will it set up a second kill? Yes, it will. On a fade. Valkyrie is going to fall back to the tower. Big buyback from Plague Rider right there. It definitely builds some momentum back for the Legion team, and now they're going to be able to push this top tower most likely. It looks like. So, yeah, that kind of caught me off guard for a second, as I'm sure it did you. But, hell, it did for the Hellborne team as well, apparently. But that's what I was going to bring up. And, again, they should be able to get this tower kill now. So, a lot of momentum, really, for what a joke. But two major things about that fight. One was the target of choice was beautiful by the Hellborne side. They went for the burst damage on a Plague Rider. Even with that Astrolabe and the Plated Greaves and having a Willowmaker being most of your damage, they were still able to get him down before the Plague Goose. So that was huge about that fight. And on top of that, Lord Salforis, we saw definitely a downfall of this hero. The kite potential against him is pretty massive. He was right there. He had the life tap up, but he kept getting kited by Wretched Hag and Valkyrie, I believe, back and forth. So, but that all changed in the end with the buyback on Plague Rider. I mean, that was a beautiful decision by him. And obviously we saw the end result. And actually, let's take a look back at that real quickly here, as we are going to go into a little bit of a downfall. But so here you go.
It was beautiful initiation by Deadwood right there, knowing that when the TP was going to come in. And Bubbles getting the silence off into the backfield. You can see right here, Plague Rider buys back
and look at Salforis
immediately. And yeah, he just gets kited so hard. That level 4 haunt doing work.
Yeah. But then eventually Plague Rider's like, wait, remember me? Here comes a Plague-oo, and obviously we see a couple of kills, and then eventually the tower kill from there.
Fade right there. You can actually see him TPing out. I think if he had TP'd into town, he might have gotten away. He actually TP'd to the 2nd tier tower.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I saw that pop out
actually,
on the mini map there. And I don't think he would have gotten away if he had gone to town, shaved off another half a second or whatever it is. But it's possible.
Yeah.
Maybe just doing a little bit of panicking, though.
Yeah, that's actually good. Yeah, I did not notice that until you said that. So, very good point to bring up there. So,
and it was really interesting going into that team fight. I was going to criticize Valkyrie. She had been stacking some Ancients rather than doing a little bit of counter pushing in the bottom lane with a Ring of the Teacher. I mean, she can definitely get that counter push going. Ring of the Teacher and 4 points into the call of Valkyrie. But then she TP'd up top, and as soon as I saw that, I knew the Hellborne team were going to be engaging up there. So I like that decision from the Hellborne. If they hadn't engaged, then that would have been a pretty big mistake, but
yeah,
and there you go.
Paid
Swings
off.
out.
Now, something else is, speaking of Valkyrie, one is that she did go the Energizer, obviously, early on, and it's a beautiful item on her for build-up, so it makes sense there. And actually picking up a Warhammer here, and I'm curious to see. I assume that's going to be a Shrunken Head, but, you know.
It could be a shield breaker. The other option is actually a Thunderclaw, which is something that I've seen a couple of times on Valk.
They are dealing with a Plague Rider, some armor going around. I guess I wouldn't put it completely beyond the expectation. But you look at, I mean, 4 to the 5 heroes already have Mystic Vestments. Thunderclaw, it's a good farming tool, yes. I mean, but I don't know if that's the
one
best
of the
choice
things
here.
that I see from Valkyrie is actually being a counter pusher. Being that she's going to be able to split push off with her mobility, with just how fast she is, and then try to push out lanes as quick as possible. A Thunderclaw is something that's going to allow her to clear lanes very, very quickly without expending her mana. And so that's one of the reasons that we actually see it occasionally coming out on a hero like Valkyrie. But once again, I mean, with such a small sample size of Valkyrie picks in the last year and a half or so, it's really hard to make a call. It could be a Shrunken Head, could be a Thunderclaw, could be, hell, even a Savage Mace or
I was gonna say, what else does this item make?
Top lane, though, Bubbles could be in some trouble.
Yeah, he is. There's a jump from Fate coming out. Wretched, that Bat Blast, it does connect. Even the Master Coconut, but they lock him down. He cannot port away, and he does get killed. Oof, very, very close right there. Good lockdown, though, from the Hellborne side.
What locked him down, though?
Wasn't it the Burning Shadows?
The Burning Shadows, I thought, had already been used there. He opened with Reflection into Burning Shadows.
Yeah, I think it was used out. He opened with the auto attack, I believe, and then just the Cole maybe. But yeah, actually, that does seem awkward, but yeah, I think that was the case. So.
Yeah, definitely a bit interesting there, but did get locked down and killed, and that's a big pickoff. Level 11 Bubbles, the top level on the Legion team.
Yeah, slowing him down a little bit, and obviously he's had a pretty solid start. He's working towards that portal key now himself. But that obviously is going to slow him down. But Captain America Bubbles will join back to the bottom lane with the rest of his team. And it seems like our Legion side they really want to continue this style of play. They want to continue we're going to continue to group up and make some pushes. This is a good time for that, especially considering the Bat Blast was just used. And also this Valkyrie Prism on Valkyrie, I wanted to mention, by the way, too, speaking of changes in the patch, again, her too. The Prism actually did get quite a buff. It lasts now 10, 13, and 16 seconds at level 3. Yeah. I think it's like 3 or 4 seconds difference before what it used to be. It's
actually, it was 11 seconds at level 3 previously.
So yeah, 5 seconds even at that level.
It's a pretty big deal. The level 1 actually lasts only 1 second shorter than the level 3 previous.
Yeah.
So it really is quite big, and that's going to get some work done. She does end up going the shield breaker route, so going to go for the armor mitigation and try to get those big poking autos.
Yeah, so really want to try to amplify the idea that they want some damage here early on. Now, we'll see if it comes into play right here. Engineer ports in, and vulnerability. Oh, he tries to deny it. The creep wave, though, finishes off the tower. That's got to be pretty frustrating if you're the Hellborne team right there. You invested resources in defending that tower, and actually you can't even fight them even falling back. So
yeah, you invested the resources of not only the Homecoming Stones, but especially of time.
Yeah.
You got all 5 players in the same lane. They're going to have to spread back out now. maybe going to look for a triple stack on the Ancients here at about 25 seconds and clear that one out. But you're not generating pressure in any of the other lanes, and this is going to give the Legion opportunity to try to even up this golden experience gap just a little bit more. Right now behind it, 2,700 in experience as a result of that underleveled supports, notably the Torture and that Master of Arms. But more big pickups coming out here. Icebrand on Salforis, so most likely going for that Dawnbringer, and a Portal Key just picked up on Bubbles.
Yeah. Yeah, those are big, and you know, I keep looking back at this Valkyrie decision to go the Shield Breaker. Obviously, the downside of going this is it does open up to vulnerability. Granted, she's going to be putting out a lot of damage. She can definitely be a right-click auto-attack turret here in this phase of the game. So I can see where they're coming from that perspective. But if you're the Legion team, you definitely look to capitalize on that. And that goes to what you were just talking about with that big item pickup with the Portal Key. You know, Bubbles, that's I would think is going to be a target of choice for them to look to try to jump, you know, get the Song of the Sea off the early Cupfield to the lockdown, and then hopefully the team follow-up to finish her off before she's able to dish out some good damage earlier on in this game especially. So
absolutely.
We'll see if that comes into fruition, but for now they're going to continue to keep the mindset that they're going to group up. Icebrand, by the way, I apologize if you mentioned that, but on Salforis here. So just to reiterate, if anything, but he's continuing to bulk up as well as getting his attack modifier here.
Yeah, should be going for that Dawnbringer, most likely. So we'll see that. It's going to give him the mobility and the mana regeneration that he really does need, as Fade is going to open right here, Breaky.
Oh, Undying is applied right away. Fade will fall. Now we see Wretched trying to respond. Lord Salforis not in the prime position, but he is locking down Engineer right here. Energy field is up. Of course, he's taking a lot of damage. The right clicks coming out. They're applying it with the background. There's so much damage to Haga Valkyrie, and they both will just explode. That is the power of the Plague Carrier coming out from Plague Rider. If you are grouped up, especially just two heroes, you will disintegrate, as they so well showed right there.
That was just an absolutely disgusting Plague Rider ultimate. The initiation was kind of interesting there, but none of that even matters when you have a Plague ult come out like that, just finishing off those heroes so effectively. But nice job by the Legion team. They come out on top big time there. Going to have about a 4,000 gold swing. And then evening up the experience where they were just down by about 3,000 previously. Capitalizing by taking down that tower. That's 5 towers down. This is going to allow the Legion to actually start to control the Hellborne Ancients as well, which is something that the Hellborne have been trying to really take advantage of. If they get some wards up over there without the support of Tier 2 towers, Hellborne team are going to be a very vulnerable team.
Yeah, and you look at the Frozen Light just finished by Salforis. Definitely love that choice. You know, could have just gone the Frostbrand into the Dawnbringer, but obviously the Frozen Light gives a little bit more better farming utility for the time being to even get that Dawnbringer eventually a little quicker. So Lord Salforis is getting to a very scary mark himself. And yeah, that last fight though, I mean, that was ridiculous with that Plague-oo right there that came out from Plague. If we could actually take a quick look at that when we get the chance to see how just how much damage that actually did in the back. I believe they were both near full life at that point too. It's actually, by the way, the life.
Actually, Master of Arms is getting caught out right here and killed. That's the power of having a ward down. And Law's I'm bad. Gonna fall at the hands of Deadwood.
Ouch. Yeah, that was obviously the ward of sight coming into play right there for Deadwood. But yeah, let's take a look real quickly at that middle fight that just took place. And again, especially the Plague in the background. So you see right here, the start of the fight, they do get fake killed off right off the bat. So it's a beautiful start for the Legion side. Then the energy field comes out, and so you're like, okay, it's Salforis going to start being locked down. He might be in some trouble. Look at that Plague. Look how much life they have.
Yeah.
And then it just disappears.
It was just perfect. There was
gone.
One creep and the 2 heroes,
Jeez.
And they are just obliterated. Deadwood, unfortunately, during that fight, wasn't really able to do a whole lot after his initial Willowmaker.
Yeah.
Didn't have the mana for it, but I noticed he actually had a full bottle or maybe 2 charges on that bottle, but wasn't sipping on that. Instead, trying just to run away without being able to throw out any additional rotten grasps or anything right there. Yeah. So a little bit interesting from Brunabad.
Yeah, and I also like to keep looking back at the supporting cast here at this game on both sides. And I just really think that both the heroes and obviously the start that they've had, it really is amplifying the success for the team. Both Master of Arms and Torture are definitely building along very nicely, and they got the level 6 marks first. At least the Master of Arms, as we referred to. Fade, on the other hand, you know, in that last fight as we saw, you know, she can't get a reflection off. She's not going to really be able to do a whole lot. If she can get the opening, then she can definitely do wonders. And an energy field definitely brings a lot to the table. But you compare their items compared to the supporting cast on the Legion side, and clearly they are a level behind, really, when it comes down to it. So they're a lot more vulnerable at this point to the likelihood of the Legion side. Now, some big item pickups are coming. You got 2,100 gold on Wretched Hag, so I wonder, if the way this game's going, if she might actually try to get a Shrunken Head now here first rather than the Grimoire finish.
I think she almost has to finish up that Grimoire at this point.
Oh, you think? Okay.
She really does need the farming utility of that, and when you're only 500 gold away now at this point from finishing up that Grimoire, I think it makes a little bit more sense. She's just got to rely on positioning to make sure that she's not going to get silenced out by the bubbles or the Salforis rather than anything else. The Shrunken Head, it's a good stopgap, but it really is about the positioning.
You're dealing with a lot of magical damage. In fact, the more I'm looking at it, I mean, this is basically almost all magical damage, really, coming out here from the Legion team. Obviously, there's always the right-click auto attacks, but you're dealing with a lot of magical damage. So, honestly, I mean, I see what you're saying, but
yeah, you might be right. I mean, it's going to be up to personal preference here.
The way, just because of where the game's at, your base is already starting to take some damage. All outer towers are officially destroyed right there. I mean, maybe you can kind of feel it out right here in this next 30 seconds of, okay, are they going to maybe fall back, farm some more? Maybe that'll open up a time for a Grimoire into the Shrunken Head, but it's a tough decision no matter what. I could see either way,
yeah,
so we'll see what Bulbasaur decides to go here playing the Wretched Hag. But
speaking of Shrunken Heads, though, I mean, there's definitely one coming out on Valkyrie. It's her next item. She's finished up the level 3 Shield Breaker, so she's starting to poke just a little bit harder now. Still not doing a ton of damage, 155 to 156 or 176, something like that, in there for just the right clicks before the armor, but
yeah.
Starting to hit hard. Still not hitting real hard, though. Valkyrie is definitely a hero that requires a few items before you really start to be fearful of her.
Well, and I mean, that kind of goes back to, as well, when we first saw that Warhammer, you know, I assumed it was going to be the Shrunken. It ended up being the Shield Breaker. And, you know, just like for the Wretched Hag, though, I mean, again, maybe it is hindsight now, sure, but if she happened to go the Shrunken Head first, it would have given her that more of the battle sense in those fights, you know, being able to survive at least. I mean, we saw what that Plague You did. If she had a Shrunken Head there, how much different that fight could have been, at least for herself. But again, it is kind of hindsight now, so what's done is done, I guess. But Grimoire power is finished on Hag, and yeah, you're all right. She is getting it now, so that is good to see, at least for their sake. But
I'd like to see... Vestments did actually just get purchased on Fade. So there we go. I was like, Swindlebones is crying somewhere seeing that there's no Mystic Vestments on Fade. But
it's 100 gold more.
With the 500 gold change, I mean, it is definitely more of an investment.
Especially for support, yeah.
Definitely. But Gank Sinatra will pick that one up. And interesting to see that she did go the Steam Boots about 10-15 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Looking for the tankier presence rather than the Striders for just a quick mobility.
You know, I kind of wonder, is Salforis going to finish? I guess, yeah, you kind of have to. I mean, the movement speed especially is huge.
I expect that he will, yeah.
Finishing the Dawnbringer. I mean, he has enough gold for now, but there's a point of maybe the buyback. I kind of feel buyback's a little silly at this place, but my point being, I think he actually should just buy it right here. But
I'm pretty sure he'll finish it before they push into base.
Yeah.
But right now, they're just kind of setting up. We saw them just do a ward sweep of Kongor. They could be looking for a Kongor pick after they push up the middle and bottom waves here. But right now, they will actually group up as 5 and make their way into the jungle. Double damage activated on Master of Arms. Kind of interesting that nobody had a bottle for that.
Yeah,
I saw them pick that one up, and I thought that he had bottled it, but I guess nobody has a bottle.
Well, Plague Rider has a bottle. It's not even his, though. It actually belongs to Manhua, who's Bubbles, of course. So I don't know if that was just their decision to give it to him or whatnot, but that's the cool thing about Master Arms too. As the game progresses, he can start. He's been a secondary support, but he can kind of transition into more of a, okay, if this game lasts longer, I mean, I'll become more of a damage threat in this game, and you got to start worrying about me now as well as that carry potential goes. So
absolutely.
That kind of just brings that point up. But here we go, pushing into the base. So he's not going to finish the Dawnbringer.
I don't like that they haven't spent their gold. You got 1,000 on Plague, 1,000 on Bubbles, and 2,700 here on Lord Salforis. He could be going for something like that Frostfield Plate. He could be going for, even a Shrunken Head or a Demonic Breastplate. But Demonic's kind of an odd item pickup when you do have such high magic damage. So
it makes sense because you're dealing with a Shieldbreaker Valkyrie and a Deadwood, but at the same time, I see what you're saying there. That's a Frostfield Plate could actually be maybe a good choice in that case. I don't know.
It's definitely an item that is pretty commonly picked up on Lord Salforis, but we can see they were just barely poking at that tower, not really looking to commit to anything there. before they do pick up their next string of items.
Plague Rider, he continues to have an impressive game. I mean, obviously he has a level 4 Cursed Shield, I assume. Yeah, level 4 Cursed Shield now, so that's 8 armor that he's spreading around, and constantly see that up pretty much on every hero, seems like, so good job on his part. Did I just see a Grimoire on Salforis? I think I did. So he's going a little, you could almost say greedy here, honestly. Going the Grimoire pickup. Now that's just going to give him a lot more damage output, but the thing I liked about the Dawnbringer was that movement speed.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I don't like this Grimoire pickup, but I don't know.
Wait, he has to pad. He needs to split it up. He can't split it up, though. Okay.
He's a little bit confused. There's actually initiation over here as Fade gets caught out and will be taken out by the Kelp Field in follow-up.
Yeah, you know, Fade, she needs that level 11 mark, but again, being the secondary support, it's struggling. She's having a tough time getting there. We always talk about all the time with Fade, level 11 is really that maximized time for her to really start shining. She's only level 8 currently, so sure, she has a reflection, but it's so low duration compared to the other levels. And the cooldown in between, it's just it's quite a bit. So a good ward of sight place there, and ultimately getting a kill. Yeah. They're going to go for Congo now. Again, he doesn't actually have the Grimoire because he couldn't split up the Frozen Light here. But we'll see what our Hellborne. I mean, Fade is coming back up. They do have Valkyrie Prism, remember. Arrow's going to come out here.
And will connect 5 seconds on the Torturer.
He's like, I got it.
I don't know. Looks like they might try to go in. There's the Prism.
There's the Prism. Dust comes out as well, though. Dad was going to launch over the Plague. Oh, look at that. The Plague. Get it again. Oh, no. The Hellborne team just falling vulnerable to the Plague. Now, Deadwood does buyback. Here he goes back in. The Falcon Punch and the Torture. It is going to be enough for the kill right there, but at what cost? The arrow comes out. A 5-second arrow, and Bubble's actually pretty going. It will finish him off as well. Plague Runner, Master, and Salforis, though. They're still chasing. Wretched not going to blink away in time before he eventually gets killed. And actually, they get the counter kill on a Plague Rider. So in the end, the Hellborne team does manage to hold their ground, actually. So maybe a little overcommitment there.
It definitely seemed like there was some overcommitment. And I got to say, well, actually, it's not over yet. They're going to have a nice combo from Deadwood into the Rotten Grasp, and Master of Arms will fall. Beautiful, beautiful play by Brunoland. Completely blind, uphill Rotten Grasp after getting a max range Oak Bolt. And they're going to try to Ninja Kongor from this.
Wow. I mean, the absolute change of momentum in the last minute is ridiculous. It went just from the Legion team just obliterating them, it seemed like, to all of a sudden, in the blink of an eye, you have Pew Fan Club not only winning that fight in the end, but, I mean, they're going for Congo now. Look at this, the buybacks. The buybacks here in the Legion team, they want to prevent Congo at all costs.
Yeah, that was...
And they're going to do that, but...
Buyback on Bubbles, Master of Arms, and Plague Rider, it looks like.
So that's an investment. Now, this could set up a Congo for them. We'll see. If it sets up a Congo for them especially, it actually looks like it is. So I think that's what makes it worth it in the end of the buybacks. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that they wanted to use those buybacks. They valued this Kongor that much. But burning 3 buybacks and, more importantly, putting Plague Rider out of buybacks now, he's going to have to really, really be careful. It's debatable whether that was worth it or not, in my opinion. I'm not quite so sure. Maybe just letting them have that token and waiting it out. But you're also on a timetable with this Legion team. So
it's a swing. I mean, I personally agree with it in the end.
You know what? I think I do too.
That's the best point you made at the end right there. Is that you are definitely, because you got to
they're going in.
There we go. Deadwood jumps in on a Plague Rider. The Undying is applied to Deadwood though, so he's in a lot of trouble himself, and he will be bursted out. Plague Rider is going to be killed out before the Plague gets off. That's the big key there for the Hellborne team. Lord Salforis again. He's being kited. He will fall. Token of Life going to bring him back up, but what can they make of it? He uses Life Tap right away. And he runs away. So I think definitely a 1-5 for the Hellborne team, honestly.
Yeah, you burn the token, you get the kill on Plague Rider, and yeah, the biggest thing there was probably the Plague Carrier not being able to be used. You actually saw that Plague was pushed into the energy field, I believe. It might have been dropped right on top of him, but he definitely got pushed around a couple times when he was inside of that energy field, was never able to get the Plague Carrier off as a result of the silence from the purge of the electric fence.
Yeah.
And it represents such a huge amount of damage for this Hellborne team with that level 2 Plague Carrier ultimate. In this case, unable to get it off. There's the Shrunken Head finished up on Hag, 1 finished up on Valkyrie already prior to that fight. And it's looking good.
Yeah, so I actually just got where he was apparently killed before the fence even went out right there.
Oh,
according to Bandman, just looking quickly back at it. So
Plague Rider?
Yeah, Plague Rider was killed basically at the same time, if anything. So Yeah, he just got bursted down, and again, that's your target if you're the Hellborne team, no doubt. They've shown that this game, and it's understandable, especially with the damage he's done with that ultimate of his. So that it seems like that's kind of a trend. If they get the Plague Rider dead off the bat, then good things can happen for them. So, but again, going back to the point that you're talking about, that timetable, it's starting to show here.
Yeah.
The Shrunken Heads, those are really key items, of course, for both Valkyrie and Wretched Hag right now. And you have Deadwood working towards, it could be a demonic breastplate here to be finished.
I think there's no doubt in my mind that that's what he's working on. The other option would be the Shrunken Head himself, but I think that he's going to be going for that demonic 900 gold away from finishing that one up.
Yeah.
I'm still reeling a little bit about the realization that Plague Rider might have been dead.
Well, let's if we can get that queued up here.
This is a battle of wills right here between Beef and Pan Man.
Yeah.
This is me learning to trust the producer.
Let's actually see evidence here of what did happen to Plague Rider at the fight. So let's take a look here real quickly. They're back to front white. So there's a Plague Rider gets caught right off the bat. You see the arrow even connects, and yep, he's dead basically
you know what?
right
You're
before.
Completely right.
You're
completely right. Pan Man wins. I owe him a six-pack. I saw him get pushed as the fence must have gone down.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing.
That's basically what happened. But Pan Man wins. I need to not challenge the producer, guys. Growing pains. There's the Shrunken Head actually going to be finished up on Salforis. So we talked about that being a possibility. But he is kind of manning down right now. And when you do have that window to make, you kind of have to take risks. This is a defensively risky pick rather than kind of an aggressively risky
see,
risk.
I kind of sigh there because obviously Shrunken Head's, it's hard to ever say Shrunken Head's a bad pickup, and I'm not saying it's a bad pickup here, but as far as the damage threat is concerned, you're dealing with a good amount of physical damage here. So the damage threat is not going to necessarily be reduced. It will help for the mobility factor, and that no doubt is a huge key coming down Lower South Forest. But it still makes me look back at the idea of him choosing to go Grimoire over the Dawnbringer. That movement speed buff that he could have got from Dawnbringer, it could have helped him it would have helped him in the long run, I think it's safe to say. Now the Shrunken Head's going to kind of replace that, you can say, to an extent, with the being able to use it and prevent from being slowed ideally, but still the damage threat is still most certainly there. And again, that's what I continue to be concerned about. So
it's going to be about how well this team executes their Wombo combo on the Legion side. And the Hellborne team, it's going to be about positioning and where they choose to take team fights. And right now, take a look. Deadwood and Valkyrie going to be turtling up the top lane while they do have a split-pushing contingent of the Fade with the Reflection available, and Wretched Hag, of course, with her high mobility. This is what they need to do. Just try to extend the resource lead without taking a team fight outside of their base. When they take the team fights, they want to use it, getting maximum information from the Reflection from Fade, and they want to be taking that team fight in a position that they're comfortable with when they initiate on their terms. If they allow the Legion team to initiate, that's when the Legion has a chance to make something happen, win a team fight, and possibly take a Rax.
Yeah, well, that could be coming up here shortly with the way things are looking on the mini-map. You see both teams have a Rev Void right here. I think the Legion team is actually attempting to get that kill there shortly. They should be able to see us, shouldn't they? I guess, is that Rev really just out of range of sight?
Yeah.
Being able to see that other one? I guess it is, huh?
The actual sight range on it
it's
is very, very small.
minimal, so I guess they can't see it. Anyways, it really doesn't matter in the end. Obviously, they're not getting much vision from it anyway, so themselves. Look at the mines right here. There's 3 mines. What level are those? Only level 1, so not a whole lot of damage, but trying to set up at least a little bit of a mine trap here. Is Engineer.
Already a considerable amount of damage put out onto the tower, getting it down to about 50% life.
Yeah.
And definitely doing some work so far. The Legion team not looking to commit too much, knowing that Deadwood might be doing a little bit of a Spelunk, which of course he is up top. But they're going to be content to slow push this one out. And
I mean, because you got buybacks on Valkyrie and Hag and Deadwood here, and even Fade. I mean, that would have been a really, really risky. But it's tough, though, because they keep going back to him, and they are definitely on a window to an extent. So when do you really try to find that time? Maybe it's the next Kongor, or maybe try to get another Kongor kill here, and then push it with that Token of Life. But
they're going to actually have to fall back here. Look at the bottom lane. I mean, this tower is taking a considerable amount of damage from the double Hell Cannon wave with 5 Warlocks in the back row. This tower is actually going to get down to about the same amount of life as the tower in top, just as a result of that big push.
Look at the Valkyrie Prism. It's a long duration at 16 seconds. They're not going to get anything out of it. Good attempt, though. coming out from the Hellborne team. You just love to see abilities used with that idea. I personally love seeing Valkyrie Prism in that sense. I mean, and again, obviously we never see Valkyrie anymore, but when we did see her, it seemed a lot of the times we saw her use it very defensively. Like, oh, we're getting initiated, or somebody's getting initiated, we're going to use it now because of that. I love the idea of using it going into a fight to try to jump them and eventually, catch them off guard. So
yeah, at this point, there has been a bound eye on the Legion team for quite some time, so its ability to be used in that capacity has been rather limited, and they're even dropping tons of rev wards, as we commented earlier, all over the place. Really knowing the power of the Invisible Fade and that Valkyrie Prism to start swinging things in the Hellborne team's way. This resource advantage is closing up a little bit as the Legion team are starting to get ahead in gold and definitely have narrowed it down from about a 10,000 experience lead. But the problem is the resource lead doesn't tell the story in this game. The story of the game is the Hellborne team, their maximum efficiency was about 5 or 10 minutes ago, and it's getting worse. Whereas this Legion team, with the armor synergy between Deadwood, Valkyrie, and then the auto attacks from Wretched Hag, it's just going to get better and better and better. And Deadwood about to finish up his Shrunken Head, so he did opt for that in 500 gold here. Fade going to be about 1,200 gold away from hers. That's going to be 4 Shrunken Heads on this team.
Yeah. I disagree with Ginks and Antra there, honestly. I think this has actually been a pretty entertaining game so far. So I guess, in the current phase of a little bit of a stand-up, and it happens when you go through phases of the game. So
he's calling offensive GGs on the spectators.
Yeah, I guess so. He's just calling GGs on everyone, man.
The BM.
You see the counter warding coming out right here, so preventing some good vision from the Legion side. And actually, there's the Valkyrie. I was going to say, they got a Valkyrie Prison. They're going to try to use it right here. Maybe try to catch Master. He's a little bit behind.
If they go onto the low ground right here, they could actually be in some trouble. The arrow is going to go out.
Oh, it's going to split the arrow, but Deadwood jumps in on the Master Neurons. Here we go. He's going to survive for now. The Demons of Master.
Oh, my God.
The big Black Plus hits everyone. But where's the Plague-Goo? Shurken Head, the Undying going to be used on right check. There's the Plague-Goo bouncing around again. Shurken Heads are up, though. It's bouncing around quite a bit. Plague-Goo is going to die. Look at the lower Salforis. It's like, where's my freaking team? My team is dead. Fade is the only one dead here on the Hellborne side. Salforis gets the kill, but he dies shortly after. Disaster for the Legion team.
God, that was such a nice initiation with the Hellborne. I was really worried about them going onto the low ground, but Deadwood blinked up, got the punch immediately, and then that Burning Shadows Bat Blast combination onto 4 players was such a huge way to start that fight out. The Plague Rider got the ultimate off, but it bounced into the neutrals. Ended up using about 3 of the bounces on neutrals before being able to do considerable amounts of damage, and the Hellborne team comes out of that one looking very, very pretty.
Yeah, no doubt. That was one of the few times where they didn't jump Plague Rider, as you mentioned, so it gave him plenty of time to get off a good Plague-Goo, but the RNG were in favor of the Hellborne team right there as far as the balances, especially with the creeps that absorbed a good amount of the damage in the end. And I would actually be really interested to look back at the fight if we can, to ultimately see how it actually played out, because it... Okay, so yeah, let's take a look at it here real quickly. Because the beginning of the fight, I mean, you said the Bat Blast, I believe hit all 5. Look how clumped up they are. Yeah, the Bat Blast hits everyone right there. The Sonar Scream on top, a beautiful keg stun. Then the energy field actually comes out on top of that. They're completely spread out. Yeah, the initiation was just perfect, really.
Mean, you got to talk about the Wombo combo on the Legion team. How about the Wombo combo on that Hellborne team right there?
Yeah.
The huge Burning Shadows into the Bat Blast, and then as soon as you've done all of your AoE damage, then you split them up into the keg, drop the turret, segment them, and finish them individually. Picture-perfect team fight here from our Hellborne.
Yeah. Big plays all around. And another thing about that, they did drop the bound die, and I don't see another one up here on the Legion side. So that's something to keep in mind with that Valkyrie Prism now, as we've been talking about on Valkyrie, who, by the way, she's sitting in the well at 5,600 gold. Okay, she buys a Firebrand, probably going to be Geometer's Bane here. So just using the shop.
Yeah, Geometer's Bane against a Plague Rider, so good. Going to also be able to maybe break something like, or disjoint something like that charge shot from Master of Arms. I don't believe that it'll actually cleanse either the Undying or the Kelp Field off of yourself. So
Kelp Field it should.
Does it?
I think so. All right, this is one of those moments.
It might. Yeah, this is one of those moments.
One of us right and one of us wrong.
You know what? I've been wrong too many times, so I'm just not even going to worry about it.
So have I. But the Undying, actually, I'm not sure. That's actually a really good point.
That one's superior magic now, so that shouldn't be cleansed, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. But the Kelp Field, I want to say it does, but Well, in about 6 minutes from now, we'll have chat.
We'll see. That's one of the great things about playing one of these MOBA games is there's just so many thousands and thousands of unit and spell and item interactions that are just so fun to play with. Right now, they're going for a very specific unit on this Congo kill.
Yeah, it's you see the 5-second arrow with Valkyrie. That's it helps make her a great Congo killing machine for her team. They're not doing it the quickest though, and you see with the Legion team, they're able to react fairly quickly themselves. And look at that, the Hellborne side is like, okay, we're spotted, the jig is up. We're gonna have a good old standoff now. Deadwood did use his invis room, which he had bottled up, so actually gonna look for an opportunity, but never mind. Uses the bottle charges and comes out of it. So Valkyrie and Wretched Hag, again, they're continuing to really make sure they have buybacks here too. In fact, Valkyrie going to be jumped. This is a big opportunity. There goes the Shrunken Head though. You see, still going to be locked down by the Kelp field, so maybe you are right. But anyways, we do see right here, yeah, the Undying actually going to be hit on here. Wretched Hag jumps in the background. Torture dropping quickly. The energy field is out. Torture is going to fall in the background. The plague is going to start passing around. Fade will fall in response, but Wretched Hag still holding the ground. Deadwood in the meantime doing a lot of damage to Lord Salforis. Lord Salforis forced to run away. Will he survive in the end? It looks like he's good for now. He does have the life def up. Going to heal, but not going to be long enough. He will fall. And that will be the end of that fight for now. So, jump did not work too well.
That Undying did so much damage on Valkyrie in the background, even through that Shrunken Head. Of course, with the superior magic damage, forced him to run the heck on out of there. Deadwood did end up saving him, but in the front lines, Wretched Hag and Engineer definitely doing work. Fade ended up dying, but to get a kill on Salforis and Torture, well worth it. Fight in favor of the Hellborne.
Yeah. Yeah, that was, again, they thought they had a chance, obviously, with the Valkyrie, but there was definitely some big bait going on right there from the Hellborne side. So, and actually, to kind of go to what you were saying with the Geometers, I actually now believe you, because the Shrunken Head did not actually remove the Kelp field.
Now, it doesn't remove the Kelp field, but Shrunken Head will allow you to walk through.
Of course, yeah, so you
stunned.
can't be stunned. But my point being that with the Geometers, it probably doesn't then. But again, I'm not actually 100% certain. So, you see the Conqueror attempt, obviously a little bit right there from the Legion side, but quickly deterred by the likes of the Hellborne team.
Speaking of Shrunken Heads, Fate dying in that fight is only 600 gold away from the Shrunken Head now.
Yeah.
That's going to be a huge item pickup for a melee hero that needs to be in the middle of the fight to recast the Burning Shadows, to recast the Cull as often as possible. Shrunken Head is going to be gigantic for her.
Obviously, we're at a point. Okay, so what did Salforis pick up is what we're wondering. He already did he buy back that fight? I think he might have actually bought back that fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he did. Yeah, that's probably what it was. Yeah. Yeah, we're actually he had about 4,000 gold apparently.
I don't think he did.
Well,
unless he bought back after he died to death. No.
I think he bought back. Okay. Yeah, either, and then maybe at the end also deterred Condor.
Interesting. Oh, yes. Okay, so after to turn the Condor.
Yeah, he did die. So yeah, definitely.
Sense.
Yeah, I do remember him dying out at the very end. So.
Yeah. I thought we were talking about at the beginning of the fight. I was confused. I need to just let Panman do the work.
Panman's never wrong, man.
He's not. How can you be wrong? He's just sitting over there just playing with his fancy machines and gadgets, using cell phones to turn on lights and manage the air conditioning. God, he's a cyborg.
He is. He's the master of having all the gadgets, that's for sure.
Makes me jealous and upset.
Me too. Trust me, me too. Icebrand picked up by Wretched Hag, so getting more battle build herself, going more of a, I want to have at least somewhat of beefy, as well as my attack modifier here in the Icebrand, so perhaps the eventual Frostful Skull is going to be coming out for her.
Yeah, would definitely expect that one, and getting a slow on somebody like that Salforis, once again, going back to the amount of kiting potential, that is definitely a very, very effective way to deal with this hero. And that Shrunken Head does not prevent the slow from Frostful Skull.
Yeah.
So, really a strong pickup and a great choice, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But the Legion team, they're going to go in again right here.
There we go. Bubbles comes in with the Kelfield Song of the Sea. On top of that, the lockdown on a Fade once again. Fade absolutely no chance. And the team apparently wasn't really that ready. I mean, they did get the Valkyrie Prism off, but Fade just got bursted. So
one and done it right there. Yeah. Great job from this Legion team. Now they're going to either force a buyback on Fade by moving into that Conqueror pit, which would they do?
Who doesn't have a buyback?
No. Fade just bought back.
Oh, she did? Wow, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So as soon as they started to rotate to that Conqueror pit, Fade went for the buyback. Perfect job there by the Legion team, setting her Shrunken back Shrunken Head back even more. She was at one point down to 300 gold, being towards that. Now 2,000 gold away.
It is, but if this sets up, in fact, a big fight for them. In fact, there's the jump in the Master Force. Double damage response. Deadwood actually picks it up just before he can. Lawrence Salforis in the background, though, trying to do his damage. Shrunken Heads are up, though. Arrow's going to miss right there. Bat Blast in the background. Energy Field, not the best placement, but look at the Legion's aim again. Starting to fall to pieces. The Plague comes out, but it just is not enough damage in the end. Although it's bouncing, it is actually. It takes out Fade. But only Lord Salforis surviving.
Oh my God!
Hack! Wow!
His man's up. He's going to get the TP out right here,
and
he's gone!
Wow. Lord Salforis doing work there at the end.
No life. Showing us how it's done. That is a manly hero, and you have to play him in a manly way. And he did. He's like, you blink on me? Bam! Just smacks him.
In the meantime, Engineer finding himself stuck with a Wild Hunter. He had trouble getting out there. Finally able to get out. But yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing about that Lord Salforis to surviving is that it deters any attempt at a Conqueror. By here. Now, I don't know if they would be able to do it in the end, but they're like, okay, it's not even worth it. We're just going to continue to farm elsewhere. So that was actually very big to the fact that he lived at the end. But again, another case, though, of the initiation was in favor of the Hellborne side. And, I mean, you said it earlier, really, the initiation is the biggest key in this game, it seems like. And whoever gets that big jump seems like they're coming out on top. And in that case, it was Pew Fan Club there. As far as that Deadwood with his jump, so
it was a nice initiation, but on the Legion team, they somehow the cards aligned. I mean, everything looked like it was going to go wrong, but it aligned. And if they had lost that team fight straight out, just 4 players dead, 5 players dead, this game would actually be over. They would take the token of life and they would just finish the game right there. They got a lifeline essentially by having some really good plague bounces and Salforis manning up. And I got to say, that was even bigger than it might appear, just because Fade blew the buyback so that they could actually secure a Kongor kill. And once again, that Kongor kill has been prevented.
Yeah, very true. So again, completely deterring her from getting a Shrunken Head, and continues to be a very, very vulnerable target in these fights. Blessed Orb picked up by Plague Rider. He's doing what he can to tank up. Again, he continues to realize he is the target of choice here on the Hellborne side for the most part. Granted, that last fight, he did do his job. He got the Plague off, and obviously we saw the ultimate damage that was able to come out. Master of Arms as well, you know, it made the point of him. He has that potential to kind of take over and be more of a threat, but it just hasn't happened this game at all. They really haven't been prioritizing any type of farm on him, and he still sits about 170 gold per minute. Now, with that said, he actually is getting close to a Shrunken Head. But
yeah, I mean, but even with that Shrunken Head, he's not going to do a particularly high amount of damages. I just saw a very, very interesting pickup on Salforis, going with a Sheep. And if he is able to catch out Valkyrie before she can get a Shrunken Head or Geometry's Main off, getting that Sheep off on her, 3 seconds, that might be all the time that they need to kill her.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, as this game was progressing on, it became more and more... The threat of Lord Salforis, it just didn't seem like it was all there. Like, okay, sure, so he's bulking up quite a bit. You know, he's definitely... He's hard to kill somewhat, but in the end, you know, we can definitely kite him. Even with the Shrunken Head, we do plenty of damage to him still. His armor is not the greatest. Granted, he does have that Cursed Shield being applied to him every now and then from Plague Rider, but still, for the most part, his armor isn't really the best, so we could definitely still burst through that. But so I like that concept of, okay, I want to, you know, give more help to my team, be more of a utility in the end, and get that Sheepstick. And like you were saying, the lockdown's always good. Maybe get it on something like that Valkyrie in the background, try to get the good follow-up with that. But
it's still getting out of hand, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's like,
if you pick off Valkyrie, that 1 in 5 chance of being able to get onto her beforehand, then kill her, are you going to be able to finish off the rest of the team? You use so many spells to clean up one, you still have the threat of Deadwood, the threat of Wretched Hag, the threat of the other team having the 3 Shrunken Heads. Right now, they're going to go for Kongor. And looks like the Legion team, no interest whatsoever in doing anything about this. Bubbles just vendored all of his items with the exception of Portal Key and Boots to finish up a Sheepstick himself.
Wow. I think he had a tablet amongst other items, and he's just like, you know what?
Grave Locket, I believe.
We need to go all in here. And again, I actually I get that. I mean, it's you kind of do need to go all in here. So I guess, you know, the idea of selling everything basically other than the Portal Key Steam Boots for a Sheepstick, not the worst thing in the world, but it shows you just how desperate they are. They know.
They got one chance.
Yeah, they only have that one chance. They know that even for a little bit now, they've kind of been in that place of, our chances of winning has really, really gone down.
Yeah. And the Hellborne team, they know that they are so firmly in the lead right now that they do not have to do anything. It can get kind of boring for spectators, but the Hellborne team will not look to actually engage right now until they are damn ready. They're going to be looking for a buyback plus something like a post-haste on Valkyrie, probably on Wretched Hag. They're going to get the Demonic here in a second on Deadwood, although Deadwood was actually just delivered a bottle. What? Am I insane here? I thought that a courier just delivered him a bottle, but maybe he had just dropped it and picked it back up again. Wingbow on Valkyrie is going to be on the way, and these are big item pickups. The Hellborne, they're looking for at least a pick, though.
There we go. Deadwood jumps in. Bubbles just absolutely dropping. He will survive in the end. The Undying supply to Deadwood. Deadwood gets bursted off the mat. And here we go. Plague in the crowd, bouncing back and forth between illusions and whatnot. So it is doing some good damage, but in the end, and not getting any kills out of it. Wretched Hag blinks away. She still has a token of life. But the Legion team coming out with a better start. They take out Deadwood, and nobody dies. Bubbles somehow living through that.
He lived because of the sheep stick. He got punched as soon as that sheep stick wore off. He was able to sheep Deadwood before Deadwood got the ult off. Deadwood went in with the Willowmaker, then dropped the Rotten Grasp, and never activated his Shrunken Head. If he had punched and then gone for the Shrunken Head, Deadwood would have 100% lived right there, and I think the Hellborne team would have come away with that team fight. Instead, a little bit of a mistake and a little bit of overconfidence on the side of the Hellborne, and the Legion team are once again in this. They have very short cooldowns on their team. 40 seconds left on this Bubbles ultimate. Plague Rider ultimate's going to be up in 10. They're going to look to take a team fight right here. But on the other side, I mean, they didn't blow a bat blast, anything like that, and Engineer, his ult's up in 30 seconds. He got a shiny new portal key.
Yeah, that doesn't help. You know, I was actually looking at this Plague Rider too. Honestly, I keep going back to it. Seems like a lot of their chances of victory here in this game, of what's left at least, it seems like a lot of it's relying on that Plague to just have some great bounces. And so I would even see, you could vouch for going to Staff of the Master, and obviously with the Blessed Orb pickup, probably not going to be going that anymore at least, but it might have been nice to maybe see that build up for that, and at this rate, he could have actually even had it by now if he didn't choose to go the Blessed Orb. But not to say that would have been the big difference maker by any means, but
if there was no Geometer's Bane and they weren't fighting in lane a lot, I think that that could have been a pretty decent pickup.
Yeah.
But in this case, they're almost always fighting in lane, whether they're the aggressors or the defenders, and Hellborne team just going to sit back and farm.
Well, I mean, even for me, though, I mean, even as you saw right there, Deadwood definitely dropped, but a lot of that had to do with the crowd control, as you said, and so it makes sense from that point of view what they're going for. But it just seems like the overall damage output for a big fight, a lot of it is coming from that Plague. So again, that's kind of where I was coming from. But in the end, it's not happening. So
absolutely,
only a point to go further into it. But Fade looking for an opportunity right here, does have that bound die, and seeing if she can maybe see anything with that. But Valkyrie's also been sitting on this Dancing Blade.
She actually just purchased the Wingbow on the courier.
There's going to be the Wingbow here. Finished by her, and absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Nope. Got enough money to sell off the Energizer and go for a next item, whether that's going to be something like a Charged Hammer eventually, maybe something like a Rift Shards, or even a Savage Mace at some point. Lots of potential options here on Valkyrie. Deadwood still has the money for a Demonic Breastplate, but is choosing not to finish that one up, instead saving for his buyback, which would be his last buyback.
Yeah, they've been saving up buybacks a lot this game. Has the Hellborne team for a while now. In fact, there's a charge shot on the Hag, but no follow-up really. Plague Rider living life a little dangerously. He does have the Invis, but especially at this point in the game, I mean, with the Revs, and especially the Bound Die, he's got to be careful. He does fall back before anything dangerous happens, so.
Yeah, and you talked about saving up for buybacks. If they are pushing here, this is very dangerous. They do not actually have an item lead in this game because of the amount of money that they're saving up. If you're taking a look at that, it's about 13,000 gold, which puts the opposing team about 5,000 gold ahead, and they've got about 5,000 gold saved up as well. So in terms of items, their net worth is pretty even. They're instead relying on their ability of heroes to utilize those items, namely this Valkyrie and Wretched Hag, to put in the massive amounts of damage.
That and the other thing to look at is also the levels. And no doubt the Hellborne team is definitely winning in that, and so they're gonna push that the last battle. No, it's actually not even the last battle tower yet. The top one still exists, and actually that's exactly where Pew Fan Club is gonna go. So We've passed the hour mark, ladies and gentlemen. We're actually at 62 minutes here, just about.
We're getting into the next series late.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that right now.
Here we are, game number 3 in the round of 512. So again, apparently we chose a good matchup here to kick things off. So it's definitely shout out to both these teams with that said.
Shout out to Breaky for picking this match.
Yeah, that was all me. I just felt it, man. Felt it in my bones.
You did. The Pew fan club, I mean, you can't pass that up.
Cannot go wrong with that. Faye just continues to be kind of that decoy of, I'm just going to be in the front. He's been bursted so much this game, it's like, whatever, but falling off to the side now.
Screw it, I'll never get my shrunken head.
Yeah, I'm pretty...
500 gold, maybe he'll take a page out of Bubbles' book and fender everything to get shrunken head.
Yeah, possibly.
But they are going to step onto the high ground here. And yeah, Wretched Hag up on high, going to throw in the autos. Valkyrie throwing him as well from the low ground. And this tower is dropping quick.
Token still has just over 30 seconds, so this is really good timing actually from the Hellborne team. You see, there's the Undying, but he's basically says coming at this point. There we go, though, the jump in the background. The Sheeps are going to be that play. It comes out pretty good actually for the Legion team. They will get the one kill off the bat. Deadwood does jump in the foreground. Tricking it up from Salforis, though, locking it with the Sheep stick. They do take an Engineer despite the energy field already going out. Fade now, trying to get the kill. He will fall, though. The nuke from Lord Salforis doing the work, and actually, again, our Legion team holds them off in the end.
I saw that Undying go out onto Hag, and I was like, well, that's kind of interesting. I mean, she wants you to kill her, and you're just going to happily oblige. But somehow they lived. I don't even really know how. That Plague Rider ultimate definitely did a lot of damage, forcing Fade and Engineer both to take a lot of damage, and the reflection to come out of Fade. And then, of course, Hag dropping and coming back up. But I don't know. That was a pretty interesting one.
Well, it does go back to what you were saying, honestly, too, about the items. I mean, look at it even now. Wretched Hag, 6,300 gold saved up. Deadwood, 5,200.
Valk actually bought back after dying there as well.
She still has 3,000 gold, so... It's, let's okay, so since we are on the pause right here, let's actually take a look back
as to what happened. So, there you go, replay.
See actually how it all... So there's the Undying. Yeah, I, too, was like, okay, that's a little
interesting. That's interesting.
What are the sheeps used?
Yeah, lots of sheeps, but... There's that Plague Rider ultimate doing a lot of damage in the background. That's actually what killed Valkyrie. So Valkyrie died very, very early on, bought back, but did not opt to actually go for post-haste, instead saying, hey, my team's dead. And they most certainly were. Wretched Hag blinking out of there, and she's gone.
Yeah, they lose a lot of damage at this point of the game in the Hellborne team with Valkyrie dying off the bat. So, I don't know. This Gang Sinatra, he's a very negative person I've come to realize.
He just trolls a lot.
I guess so.
I've watched his casts, and he's a very trolly troller.
Yeah, I mean,
like Pam.
Again, especially with this being a Pam Man getting the call out.
He's gonna kill me in my sleep.
Just staring. He's not even saying anything at this point.
He's just staring.
Just creepily staring.
I can feel his stare through my headphones. This is
breathing heavily. I wonder if you guys can even hear that. Probably not.
Probably not.
Knowing him, he's just so us can hear it and nobody else.
There we go. But
trolling us.
Hopefully we get back into this pause here momentarily. Don't want to get into the next match too late.
Well, yeah, I mean, if it happens, it happens. But, at the same time, again, the fact that we've been having Game 3 and it's this line. And, again, I've been entertained. I don't think this has been a slow game by any means. I think this has actually been a very good pace game. And
it's nice to actually see two teams that are very evenly matched.
At this point especially,
in the first round of this tournament. It's going to be disappointing for one of those teams who's going to end up in bronze, which I think both of these teams have some potential to be into silver or even gold. But somebody got the bad luck of the seedings here, and well, they do get seeded into bronze after this game. And once again, kind of talking about where you do end up in this tournament. If you do make it out of the first 2 rounds here, you do guarantee yourself that you can make it into silver after the first 2 rounds.
So
then
if you make it into the round of 128, then if you win that, then you're at least silver, I think. If you lose that, though, then you're bronze.
No, if you lose in the round of 128, you go to the bronze-silver placement matches.
Oh, okay, or that.
Which is like a separate tournament that's going on. It's actually a pretty convoluted system. But I know that there are explanations for that over at HoNtour.com.
Yeah. Just going to let them know that they're fine. It's that's just for overall. So, like, if your game does happen to overlap into the next round, then your specific match will then just be scheduled for right as you finish, basically. So, not a big deal for the teams. Again, with HoN Season 2, obviously, especially at the beginning, maybe several of these players. I wouldn't be surprised a lot of players didn't even compete in HoN through Season 1, despite as successful as it was. I mean,
yeah,
go through a new bit of players, so
it's a possibility.
I mean, I like how What a Joke is continuing to fight, man. They're fighting on the edge, but they're continuing to fight, and I like this team, man. I love how they remember the first game with Bushwhack, second game Berserker. Yeah. Here they are with Lord Salforis, so not afraid to go different. And I personally am a fan of these guys, but it's going to be difficult to come through this game.
And I mean, Salforis, he's definitely still got that farm, 428 gold per minute. When you're getting into a 65-minute game, that's a lot of farm adding up. 4,000 gold left over. I wouldn't actually be surprised to see him go for a Dawnbringer right now, or I don't know. It would be kind of an interesting choice to go for that Dawnbringer to get that additional mobility, and then of course just increase the stats overall. But he could also just be vendoring either the Icebrand or the Helm of the Black Legion. But hell, a third Sheepstick just picked up.
But the more this game's going on too, I really feel like this Hellborne team's overvaluing buybacks a lot. I mean, 7,200 gold on Hag at this point. Okay, I was going to say either a Sheepstick or a Savage Mage. She goes a Sheepstick right here, so okay, that's good to see at least. She still even has a buy. No, she actually doesn't have a buyback. So okay, but she has a Sheepstick again. That's another huge item. Can definitely help you. Deadwood's another example. 5,400 gold saved up. He's refusing to finish that demonic breastplate just yet, despite him having more than enough to even finish it and still have buyback, I would believe.
The thing they're valuing even more than the buyback is the buyback post-haste combination, which I don't necessarily like. When you can get that on one hero, maybe. And he keeps doing this. He keeps actually buying the demonic and selling it back. So he's definitely checking to see how much money he has. In this case, it looks like he's finally confident to finish up that demonic breastplate.
Yeah. So he does finish it off. Okay, so since they're not pushing in the end, I guess, a little bit less of a critique on what they're doing here. But I was going to say, if they actually pushed there and he was still sitting on a 7,200 gold and 5,000 on Deadwood, it would have been a little ridiculous. But they do get their items now with the demonic and the Sheepstick on Hagen. A beautiful choice. Again, when I was thinking about it, either the Sheepstick or the Savage Mace, depending on what route you felt like you really needed more. And we've seen the power of the Sheepsticks here on the Legion side. As obviously, you could do even the same for you on the Hellborne team. So I have no problem with that pickup whatsoever. Coming out from Hag right here. Granted, the Savage Mace would give her a little bit more of a damage threat, and that way, if Valkyrie happens to die right off the bat,
the Hellborne team's not really lacking in damage, though. They've
if
got
Valkyrie survives. I mean, we saw last fight. If Valkyrie gets picked up right off the bat, then...
Oh, they're going in right here. Prism is activated, and they're looking for a scrap.
Deadwood finds Bobbles, actually. Will they be able to burst him again, though? He's going to be helped out quite a bit. Energy Bow goes out, untying in the background onto Valkyrie. Lords out force chasing the Sheepstick on a fade. And in the meantime, the Plague Goo isn't even been used yet. Yes, it has, actually. It's already bounced around. Deadwood, though, still doing plenty of damage. And it looks like the Legion team, they do not get enough up front themselves.
Wretched Hag's going to go down right here to the Undying, most likely. She's actually just going to blink forward, though, and I don't know. I guess that's it.
I think that could do it. Yeah,
buybacks are coming out, though.
Bubble survived, man, again. I mean, they did a great job of keeping him alive, but just the overall damage just not there, unfortunately, in terms of returning.
Must have been a very short duration Undying on Wretched Hag. She just did not die. Deadwood once again not getting that shrunken head off, though. You touched on it there in the middle of that team fight. Definitely something that Brunoland could work on. Ended up getting sheeped out 2 or 3 times while that Plague Rider ultimate was bouncing around. So a little bit unfortunate, taking a lot of damage, but the Hellborne team comes out pretty heavily on top, I would say. These last buybacks, I mean, that's really the thing that might be the nail in the coffin for the Legion is they've been expending a lot of buybacks, playing them really fast and loose, and they're out of them on 2 heroes, the others down to 1 token each.
Yeah, so it's dwindling down very, very quickly. So again, although the fight still most certainly remains, and I definitely got to continue to respect that here from What a Joke, but you gotta think that it's only going to be now a little bit longer before it just isn't going to be enough, but who knows? They're going to try to persevere and hope for the best. You see a rebuy of a shrunken head right there on a Salforis. Thing to note about that, remember that also was changing the balance patch where it's somewhat slight, but basically for every charge you use, you actually get 100 gold less for when you do sell it initially. So I believe he was down to 5 charges. And so, I mean, he got 500 gold less than he normally would have gotten before the patch. So not the biggest deal in the world, but...
Yeah, 1450 instead of 1950?
I believe so, yeah.
Hellborne team, they're going to go in.
Yeah, they are. Sheepstick on a hack, but the counter on the bubbles this time. This has survived this bitch. He does not. Wretched gonna help assist with some damage. On Plague bouncing in the background, but again, doesn't do enough in the end. Plague are now being locked down, and it looks like it's falling apart for the Legion team again.
Yeah, Salforis taken out by Valkyrie and Deadwood. Well, Plague Rider is actually going to 1v1 Hag. Hag will drop to the Undying. No more buybacks are available, though. It's just going to be up to Torturer and Master of Arms to try to defend this, and I don't think that's going to happen. These melee ranks are going to go down very quickly. Oh, no. Gang Sinatra.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, no.
That is so rude. That is so rude.
But the Hellborne team, they're definitely just going to make their way through the base right now. Just trying to take down some more towers and ranks. Ensure victory here. Learn the manners from Pew. Oh, no.
It's just all falling apart now, including in the Legion base.
Including the manners in this game.
Including the manners in this game. Yeah, it just went out the window. The talk is now.
They're gone. They're gone.
Taken off here. No, a 70-minute game, though, again. Here we are on the round of 512. We have a Game 3 70-minute game, and yeah, okay, it wasn't the best of play we've ever seen by any means, but you know, you're not expecting that.
It was better than I expected.
I hope for entertainment, especially in these rounds. Like, I could care less, you know, about the play style, you know, if they're making the best decisions. I just want entertainment. I think we got that here in this series. So
I absolutely agree with you, and like I said, it was better than I expected. The Hellborne team finishing it off there with some mega creeps, and while it is, of course, you are able to come back from this. It's extremely rare. Have you seen a mega creeps come back?
I don't think I've ever personally seen a mega creeps come back.
I cast one maybe 4 months ago, 5 months ago, but that was it, man. It's very, very difficult. I think I've only seen 2 ever. The Legion team, they're going to try for it, though.
Panman talks about his stories of leading comebacks all the time.
Panman's probably got a replay loaded up of Mega Creeps comeback to prove me wrong again. He's like, Beef, here's 37 replays of Mega Creeps comebacks.
Wow. He lets the opponents destroy the racks.
That's
just
true.
So he can make it on an even playing field, basically.
That's true. Well, Deadwood going to be turtling out there with the Rotten Grasp. He's finished up a Heart, Savage Mace on Valkyrie. Go.
Engineer going to be sheeped right off the bat. Got the energy field off though, so he's done his job. Master of Arms, he's going to survive for now. The arrow comes out, but of course the Shark going to prevent that. Deadwood in the background is putting in right clicks. The Plague is bouncing around, but with the Shark Heads again mitigating so much of the damage. And well, you got to give A for effort here on what is their team name? What a joke, but unfortunately it isn't going to be enough in the end. So GG, well played.
And that's going to do it.
And it looks like there you go. It is official. They fought, man. They fought, but it will be bronze for what a joke. But again, I say that lightly because it's like, okay, so you're in bronze. Hey, you know what's done is done. You know where you're at now. Get ready for cycle number 1.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get ready to have a lot. That is a team I would not be surprised if they have success and move up to silver right away.
Yeah,
honestly,
you could definitely see them moving to silver or even gold. And I mean, I'm really looking forward to Season 2 with the new format of something like gold, only being 2 days a week. Definitely looking to see more coverage of those very important events. So
yeah.
Definitely teams that we could see moving up. But round of 512, it's over.
It's over. We made
this was a really good game, though, man. This was a good match.
Happy with that, but as you said, it is over. And in fact, several, I believe, at least the lobbies and everything are being created for the round of 256. So we are going to take a short break right here, but at this rate, we're going to be coming right back at you pretty shortly with our round of 256 match. Will it be as good? Oh, we can only hope for that. As far as being in the round of 256. So we'll have to wait and see how things go. But ladies and gentlemen, definitely stay tuned for that. I'm Breaking CBK, joined by Beef here on the HoNcast Twitch channel, here in the HoNcast studio. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it so far. We're going to continue coverage with the HoN Tour qualifiers for season number 2. Stay tuned. A round of 256 coming up next.